a little about that. But what I wanted to do today was, first I kind of want to feel how your class went for you today, and if that's like the norm, and just kind of see how things are going for you. And I wanted to finish taking this and putting to see, yeah, you're like, yeah, and putting it to see where your kids are.
I don't have that anymore.
Yeah, I know your computer crashed, but what I'm missing, some of your kids' names are missing for your class, so okay. You would have to, I'm sure, I know you saw their paper, so we're going to have to backtrack on that. So, because what I really want to see, and this is something I've like been able to, like, after thinking through like all the stuff that I know about like you and your classroom and your stuff, is you personally know where you want your kids to be. You want them to be these writers, you know why you want them to be, you know the way you want them to work, you know what your vision is, but I don't think your kids are on board with you right now. And that's, to me, like where the, like, you know, the minor misbehaviors are coming, is that they're just not on board with you. And so I want to figure out ways of kind of taking your vision, breaking it down, and getting kids on board with some of these strategies to get them there. So that way, because you're driving, you're going, like you have your plans, you know where you want your kids to be. Yes, there's other development that needs to happen to get you there, but like they're on this track and you're on this one, and they need to jump on board here.
Can I ask a question? Why do you think that it might be the case, or do you agree?
No, I totally agree.
Why do you think that's the case?
I think part of it, there's probably a few reasons. One would be the fact that jumping in 6 weeks in,
Yep.
part of it is them having a new teacher 6 weeks in, as well as me frantically trying to pick up standards, things like that. Whereas with my second graders, I felt plenty of time having them all the time, having them from the beginning. I was able to do plenty of time where I just stopped and did like something not standards based because I thought it was important to grow class culture. I haven't felt that luxury with the fifth graders, so I probably haven't done as good of a job as getting them aware of it. I've done some things where where we've discussed things that hopefully get them invested and things like that. But I don't think I've done as good of a job getting them fully on board and being clear. And as well is like a certain lack of organization, like not having all of my stuff. Because I can't give them like a self-monitoring tracker if I can hardly track them right now myself. So that would probably be a big thing as well. Like being able to consolidate everything into one thing where I understand it well enough. I know where they're at, and I could probably tell you where any of the individual students is at and like how they write, but having it organized enough so that it can be taken into a kid-friendly version in which they can see where they're at and where they want to go. So they haven't really had that discussion, like they don't know where they're at and where they need to go.
And why do you think it's important for them to, because like we've had these discussions before, I'm happy Samuel asked that question, but I feel like you and I do a lot of, I was like, everything you said, like I think I've heard you say before, but I think the question I have is like, why do you think it's important for them to monitor and know where they are and where they're going? Why is that something you want?
Well, because if I track them, that is good for my instruction. And just as me tracking them is good for my instruction, so I can change things to make my instruction better. Them understanding, one, what tracking is, and two, where they are on that tracker will help them become better students. If they can truly understand, not that they made a C on this paper, but that they made a 4 in the category of ideas, but only a 2 in organization, then they know, like, okay, well, I'm coming up with some good ideas, but I need to get my act together when it comes to writing a paragraph. I need to start indenting. I need to start using the conventions. So if I can provide comments like, not only did you get a 2 in conventions, which that's obviously, given the fact that they know what a 2 is, that's not good enough. It would also say, like, give them some guidance, like, you got a 2 in conventions because you aren't always capitalizing any of your sentences, so that they can consciously think. Like, I had a conversation with Deontay today, and he has amazing ideas.
This kid's my buddy, Deontay. He's my buddy.
He has awesome ideas.
Awesome idea. Oh my gosh, blows me away.
His conventions are fine, but his handwriting's bad, and he does this thing where sentences that begin with I and T, he rarely capitalizes. Any other sentence, he'll capitalize.
Yeah.
But if it starts with an I or T, which is a lot, because the, I, all those, he doesn't capitalize. So I had a conversation, I was like something that's holding your writing back, Deontay, is the fact that you forget to capitalize a lot of letters, and that's something that you learned a long time ago, and I know you know that. But when a reader sees that, then they don't think you're writing as well as you are. You don't have these great ideas. So he's like, yeah, I know, I need to work on that.
Yeah.
So.
And I think I kind of got a little like, when you're talking about things, I think like that's it. Like, kids, like, you're right. I want my kids to know what's holding them back and what they can work on, so I know, and they know what they're always working on to get to the place of like, where your vision is, where your goals are, etc. I think the interesting thing with Deontay is you're right. You have, even though like, yeah, I don't know if you've seen his scores, it doesn't matter, like you have a lot of evidence of his work. I today worked with him a little bit and saw like, his ideas can just, blow me away. I told you the first time I met him, we started talking about Mozart and why, he doesn't understand why people like rap and hip hop, because Mozart's the real true musician.
Wow.
But his handwriting looks like a first grade handwriting. And some letters are small, some letters are capitalized, and there's this mixture going on. And so I think it's like, I like see a lot of like, that's how I think sometimes we get wrapped up in like, oh, I see what he's doing, I see what he's doing, and it's like, yeah, like let's take a step back now, and it's like, yep, that's how Deontay's writing, and he wants to get better, because Deontay is really bright, he's really naturally bright, and likes to learn, and be like, really ask questions, but like for all your kids, you want to put them on a place where your vision of them being these writers who convey information are able to write for different purposes, because in life there's different purposes with write, and any field you go into you're going to need to write to make that the connection in the investment piece. And so I want to hear a little reflection on today, because I know you said something about how you changed your schedule a little bit, so I don't know if that was planned or I don't know, but if you could tell me, okay, because I want to make sure like I know where you are. This unit right now is on nonfiction informative writing, right?
Not necessarily nonfiction, informative. So
just informative.
This is
okay.
nonfiction, and the first piece they did was nonfiction, but the one in between that we just finished last week or the week before was actually an imaginative information.
Okay, so you did the imaginative one.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think it's like kids are doing all this writing, and it's like just, okay, we did imaginative, we're back on now they're doing that research project, right? So it's like just moving. It's like kind of just moving without the like, I'm trying to think of the word here, of like knowing what the progress or not progress is happening, so that can happen, where kids can say.
Like it's more like stage phase, like as in a staircase as opposed to a slope.
Yeah, so and I know you want the other. So I think first I just want to hear a quick reflection on today and what today is, if today's like other days, and like what's actually happening. And then, so let's start there, and then we're going to move into, I at some point want to look at the unit that you're currently on, but I think what we're going to actually do is start putting this stuff in and making little measures of success of getting the other ones in, so we can at least see what the pace of growth is right now, so then we can really problem solve around it. Okay. So go ahead, my friend.
Okay. So logistically it was not normal at all, because it was the third time we went to the library yesterday very briefly. And then the other time was the other day we were there. So I'm not used to having to get up and move in the middle of class. But I also felt it necessary to start class with a review of subject verb agreement, because we didn't do it yesterday. So they have a quiz tomorrow, so I wanted to have some sort of review. So I thought it was necessary not to just spend all the time in the library. But so logistically it was not normal. Behaviorally, I think was pretty normal, whereas like it wasn't out of control, but it was also like not always. The kids weren't always on point by any means, and especially the transition between being in their seats, which I think they did it after the first go around with the boards, which we don't use this very often.